My name is Wes Callihan. I'm the main lecturer on the 4-year video series called Old Western Culture, produced by Roman Roads Press. And this course that I'm teaching is called The City of God by St. Augustine. Now, The City of God is a massive work. It's in 22 books or chapters. The reason that I'm teaching it, I'll get to in a moment, but I'm going to take my time as I go through it. We're going to take one book per week, and we'll talk about the fact that this book is so interwoven with Roman history. Augustine himself being thoroughly conversant with Roman history and with literature, always making reference to classical authors in the past, both pagan and Christian. And so we'll spend a lot of time talking about the references, talking about the history of the late Roman Empire, which is Augustine's time, talking about his connections to it. I'll speak more in a moment about the influences that we'll talk about as well. So we'll work slowly through this massive work. We will preface it at the beginning of the year by reading Augustine's Confessions, which is his own sort of spiritual autobiography, and we'll set a lot of the groundwork for his life and for the attitude that he takes as we go through the class. I am truly enthused about teaching this class for a number of reasons, but let me tell you first a little bit about my experience with this book. For 14 or 15 years, every summer in the years past, I haven't done it in recent summers, but we had a little program here on the farm in North Idaho where my wife and I live and where we've raised our children. And every summer we had a program called Summer Hall. And it was a 2-week program where we would have 8 or 10 or 12 students come from around the country, anyone who could come. And for 2 weeks, they would live with us, and we'd live a sort of semi-monastic collegial routine, morning and evening prayers, little work in the garden in the middle of the day, and we'd spend the rest of the day then reading one of the early church fathers. So as I said, we did this for 14 or 15 years, and about every 3 or 4 years, we would come back to Augustine's City of God. So I just fell in love with the book and with its tremendous influence. So I've had a lot of experience teaching this work, but every time I go through it, I find something new, and I'm truly enthusiastic about teaching it, because this book is one of the very most influential and important books in all of Western civilization. If you had to pick one book after the close of the scriptural canon that had more influence than any other book in the history of Western culture, this would be high on the list, maybe at the top. I'd like to put it at the very top. Augustine's philosophy of history that he clearly espouses in the City of God was the dominant one in Western European Christian civilization up until the 17 and 1800s, when it began to be overtaken by Hegelianism and Marxism and modern secularism and so on. But Augustine had such a hugely powerful influence on Western Christianity that this book and his philosophy espoused in it affects things not just in the realm of direct spirituality, but in the realm of politics, of law, of economics, aesthetics, military, just war theory, all kinds of areas. Augustine is probably, in fact, we can put it this way. One Roman Catholic theologian recently said, if we had to choose between throwing out Augustine or throwing out all the rest of the early church fathers, we would all strongly be tempted to keep Augustine. He's had that much of an influence on Western cultural thought. And it's and deservedly so. It's a wonderful book. It's a philosophy of history, where Augustine, first of all, in the first part of the book, destroys the paganism philosophically and theologically of his day, the paganism that was being rapidly gotten rid of by Christianity. And in the second part of the book, then, he traces the development of the people of God, the City of God, which are his chosen people and everyone who adheres to them, along with what he calls the City of Man, which is all who reject God. So he traces biblical history and secular ancient Near Eastern history and weaves them together in a process of chronology from creation up until the Last Judgment. And then finally, at the end of the book, he talks about those last things, the resurrection, death, the resurrection, hell, heaven, and eternal beatitude. So it's as cosmic a picture of the world and of space and time and of man's place in God's creation as you can think of, with the exception perhaps of Dante's Divine Comedy. And I've often thought, if you could only read Augustine's City of God and Dante's Divine Comedy, you would have a tremendous education. So a lot of people have been teaching Dante's Divine Comedy, and I hope more do, but we need to have more exposure to this book, The City of God. As you can tell, I'm excited about it, and I think that you will enjoy it too if you sign up for this class. So the students who sign up for this class will have some reading. They will read one book a week of the City of God, which I would estimate might take 2 to 3 hours a week. So the reading load will not be burdensome. Spread over the however many days of the week the student can read, I don't think this will be a heavy load. The material is pretty weighty because Augustine is no lightweight, but it's not inaccessible, and there will be plenty of discussion in class to ease that burden as well. So as I said, we'll read the Confessions of Augustine first, and that's easy reading, and then we'll read a book of a week of the 22 books of the City of God. So the load will not be heavy. This class is also, like the other class I'm offering, Old Western Culture for Adults, is a late afternoon class, but this class is for anyone from, I would think, age 16 on up. This class will meet in the late afternoon, 4 to 6 p.m. on Tuesdays, and that's Pacific time. So people in the rest of the time zones, which are later, should be able to sign up for this class and join in. I hope to see many adults, many parents, college students, people who would like to become familiar with this great book, sign up as well. I think that you would find this class enjoyable. I hope you would find it delightful. I certainly will bend every effort to make it so. So I hope many people will join us.